My name is Kenny Nam, and I like to talk about my comic book, Medicine Man. So, in this book, the word Medicine Man refers to a group of intergalactic exorcists who roam around the galaxy warding off demons that haunt the people and their land. And the whole story is threaded into a metaphor for our white blood cells, the foot soldiers of our immune system. And there are many different kinds of white blood cells in our body. Some of them engulf and digest pathogens. Some of them project some type of chemical kamehameha to dissolve infected cells. And some produce weapons called antibodies. Some are in charge of communicating and relaying messages within their intricate network. And most of them are born and raised in the bone marrow, specifically the part called the red marrow. And when the white blood cells reach their adolescence, so to speak, they travel out of their home through one of the blood vessels that are complexly intertwining the bone marrow. They would circulate our body through our blood vessels until they encounter an infected site. Once they detect infection, they would exit out of the vessel and start attacking the foreign invaders. And this could be your lung, skin, or whichever part of your body that comes into contact with the outside world. This whole process is called an innate response. It's a quick and dirty way to get rid of pathogens. However, in case of serious pathogens that are really tough, we need a backup plan. And some cells are in charge of retrieving a piece of infected cell, and they have to travel back through the lymphatic vessels and reach that little bean-shaped nodes called lymph nodes. A lymph node can be thought of as like an armory to manufacture weapons against these serious pathogens. So each of my character in my story represents a different cell type. For example, a giant pug who has the job of consuming and bringing back a piece of haunted bodies. An assassin who uses her energy projection to exorcise the demons. A gorilla who tears up and devours the haunteds. And I wanted to demonstrate their function and size accordingly to convey the metaphor as accurately as possible. So the protagonist, called Dancing Ghost, Ghost for short, she is also an adolescent exorcist who has just finished her training. She is bold, daring, but lacks experience and patience. She is eager to get out there and prove her skills. However, she was born into a royal family, her mother, Sleeping Ghost, being the queen of all medicine men. Sleeping Ghost was very protective of her daughter, preventing her from all the dangers of the world. But the time has come for Ghost to show everyone what she was made of, to prove her birthright in the battlefield. So with the help of 2 bodyguards, General Thunder Rumbles, one of the best medicine men ever known, though he has gotten a little overweight since retirement, and Sir Turtle Rock, the best trekker in the world, who is suffering from a sinus infection at the moment. And just like our white blood cells would, they would travel through the blood vessels, described as a network of interplanetary wormholes in the story, to reach a planet that has been completely haunted by the demons. Their mission is to retrieve an artifact that has been reported to have close connection to the origin of the demons. The demons that lurk in the darkness, rendering themselves invisible, possessing our bodies to turn against each other. And in front of them, they face thousands of hostiles who have lost their souls to the demons. What would happen to Dancing Ghost and her friends? And that's the scope of the story in issue 1. And whenever I went in length to talk about my story, the most frequently asked questions was, why all this metaphor? Why white blood cells? Why do why go through all this crazy stuff? So before I flipped my career 180 and joined the program 2 years ago, I was a research scientist at a biochemistry and molecular biology laboratory with my fluorescent lab shoes on. The projected goal of our lab was to find a cure for autoimmune diseases such as rheumatoid arthritis or sepsis. We were studying crystal structures of hyperactive macrophages to inhibit its activities. And a big part of my job was to monitor human white blood cells through the microscope. And observing these cells at work gave me a realization that they are completely autonomous individuals. Not only can they distinguish foreign organisms from our own cells, but also track, almost there, and eat the pathogen, and communicate and cooperate with each other as one team. And I started seeing the parallel between the white blood cells fighting foreign microorganisms and exorcists expelling demons from our world. I came to a realization that we, the humans, and all other living organisms were also cell equivalents of this planet. Furthermore, this galaxy, or even this universe. We were the tiny inner selves of a holistic organism, referred to as the mother in this story. Our body is made up of trillions of cells that can be categorized into 200 different types. Yet, every single cell in our body shares the same exact DNA as the one they inherited during fertilization. Just like we humans have up to 99.9% similarity in our genetic makeup. Then I started questioning, why do people keep hurting each other, destroying our planet? I wanted to tell everyone, hey, we're all working in the same team, for one team. But I couldn't just randomly approach people and just with this weird knowledge. And my fixation on this idea became an obsession. And I desperately needed a proper outlet to unleash this delusion. And realizing that starting a new cult was not a good lifestyle choice, then I found a perfect medium to materialize my delusion: comic books. Thank you for listening. So a fat gorilla, so he represents a macrophage, which engulfs and digests pathogens. So it had to be really huge. And in real life, macrophages are about 2 microns, which is like 2 micrometers in diameter, 20 micrometers. And compared to natural killer cell, which is about like 7 microns. So I really wanted to give that size difference so that, it makes sense that this big guy would eat up all these zombies. And also the dog, dendritic cells, their job is to ingest part of a infected cell and bring it back to the lymph node. And what other animal than a dog to retrieve something back to our home? So the general scheme of this is that they would bring back an artifact and come back and make a weapon for it, make the antibodies. So that's the general scope of it, but I still have to work out exactly how many issues I'm going to have to do to talk about, because there are so many different things that are going on in our body, and I want to talk about all of them. Yeah, definitely. When I first started, I was thinking, this could be a good, like a semi-educational medium to tell people, this is what's going on. So I'm going to talk about vaccination, HIV, all kinds of different stuff. So yeah, definitely. But at the same time, I don't want it to be categorized as an educational book, because for me, it's not as fun as just regular comics. Um, it it helped me a great deal to actually visualize all the metaphor because I knew the ins and outs of of the white blood cells, and I feel like it's I thought it would be easier, to be honest. Oh, it's art, like it's fun, and I and 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 Nathan made sure it wasn't, because like in science, there is an answer. Like if you seek it long enough, you'll find it. But here, it's like there is no answer. There is no end to this. There is no final edition. My third, fourth, fifth, like it'll keep changing. I'm already starting, just started changing my stories a lot. So it is a lot more difficult to adapt to the art world. Before I pursued a career in science, I always wanted to be a comic book artist as a kid, and that's all. Comic books would be all I would devour and read, um, and as soon as I changed my career, like the comic book was my jam. That was what I was gonna do, and I feel like a lot of the styles I've been stealing from my idols, and so that's how it all came together. Um, Exorcist? No. I've been heavily influenced by this Korean movie called The Wailing. Yes. It's about this Korean traditional exorcism, and Korea, like there was traditional folklore exorcism. It has been very prevalent until recent modernization of the society. People don't believe it, of course, as like a religion, but it's still a huge part of our culture. And I grew up like reading about it, watching actual exorcism, making crazy sounds and crazy dances. So I think a lot of that went into my art as well, I think. Thank you.